Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together, talk about movies, TV and online content, and we answer the question, should we read anything more into Netflix releasing the entire Stranger Things collection on Blu-ray? Don't know. I'm here, Sasha Obley. Joining me today, Don Blatt.
The show's over, so they're releasing it on Blu-ray.
Lots of shows have finished on Netflix but haven't gotten a Blu-ray release.
It's their most popular show and it's finished, so they're putting it on Blu-ray so they can make some more money out of it.
Make back some of the money they spent on that final season. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is, but also why not other stuff, you know?
That's a good question. I'll tell you what I
Or
found
is this
out
a signal of a change in direction?
Well, a lot of places don't put out shit on Blu-ray anymore, full stop, any of the streaming services. But when I was putting together the what's coming to physical media for April a couple of days ago article, explosionnetwork.com, the Scott Pilgrim takes off.
Yeah.
Takes off. Blu-ray release.
Mm.
It's quite good.
Yeah. Maybe they're just secretly like releasing stuff, you know?
Because Orange is the New Black, House of Cards and all that early stuff got physical media, and then they sort of
Eventually,
stopped with the stuff after that.
No, yeah. I mean, it makes sense because there's a lot of independent, like Arrow or Umbrella or whatever that'll distribute or make the DVD Blu-rays, I guess, for you. But yeah, full deluxe set you can get of the whole 5 seasons of Stranger Things with all
And if you put
goodies.
the disc in your player upside down, it releases the final secret episode of the season.
That's the actual real final episode of Stranger Things is in the
disc
physical edition.
Only if you play it upside down. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that would be. Imagine if that was true. The entire internet would explode. All right, on today's show, we're talking about what's in watch history, going over some film news, giving you some thumbs for trailers, and giving you this week's top 3. Kicking things off. So I went to see Ready or Not 2 because I'm like, it's one of the big releases of the week, you know, big horror movie. I'm sure Dylan's going to go watch it, and then we can have some sort of big discussion about the film.
Now, I just want to put on record. I've watched nothing at the cinema, and it's
Not
solely
100%
because true. I've watched nothing at cinema that I should be going to watch cinema. I made one trip because it was a group effort, so I went to that. Otherwise, I've done no solo trips. I've been trying to catch up on some other things. A lot of it is trying to get ahead of other shit we're recording. And then presuming that'll free up my time. And I feel... Because I looked at... so I kept looking at the times and being like, I could go do that after work and that. And then like the slight anxiety in the back of my brain was like, yeah, but then when the fuck am I going to watch that? And It's like, I'm just going to...
Sleep to the last minute.
Now, see, this is the big difference between you and I. We should know by now.
20 minutes before we record.
We should know by now.
I'll finish the thing.
The way you work and the way your brain is wired, not at all the way my brain's wired.
Yeah, that's true.
We could not be a couple, Ash, is what I would say.
We would drive each other crazy.
And we'd drive because I would be like, man, hey, honey, let's plan a getaway. Let's plan a holiday. And I would
get to it.
So indecisive, and you'd want to book it a week before, and I would be losing my goddamn mind.
Yep. Yeah, so I did go to see Ready or Not 2, but I had to watch the first Ready or Not to know what was going on, I guess, which is a movie I know that you have watched. So obviously Ready or Not.
Love that movie. Really excited to watch the second one.
Directed by Radio Silence, starring Samara Weaving, who plays a woman who's marrying into a old money, very rich elitist family. And they have a tradition where when somebody joins a family, they pick a card from a special card deck and they play that game. Unfortunately, she picks the bad one, quote unquote.
It sounds fun on paper when they...
It sounds fun. She picks a bad one, which is hide and seek, which means they have to go hunt her down and kill her and then sacrifice her to the devil. It's not exactly clear.
Doesn't matter.
It's implied. A lot of fun. Very enjoyable. Samara Weaving is fantastic. I really enjoyed Adam Brody, who was different to what I expected, because I remember watching the trailers for that, and he kind of come off smarky and all that kind of stuff. I thought he was very much going to be into trying to hunt her down, but he seemed very not interested, or he actually seemed like the good guy in the film, which was what I was unexpected. Maybe it's because I just remember him from Jennifer's Body, which he was like a bad dude in that one. And that's a similar kind of movie, I guess. But yeah, really good. And I'm like at the end thinking, man, now I understand the ending of Abigail, because these guys, they just love blood everywhere. Yes, but it ends at a point where you're like, okay, that makes sense. It's over. We don't need to come back to this. But they have, ready or not to, which opens with her going, Samara Weaving's character, should have looked up what her name was, or at least remember what her name was. It's Grace, that's right, Grace. She goes to the hospital. She's being questioned by the local sheriff about what happened. And her sister comes to the hospital because her sister is her emergency contact. Despite the fact that they are estranged, she somehow still has her contact information. So for her sister, played by Catherine Faith, because of course it's Grace and Faith. So they're still quite. They've got some sort of past in his issues. I don't know if it was established in the first film, but they're from they lived in foster care and all this kind of stuff. So they got like
It's been a couple of years since I last watched it. I know they briefly talk about her coming from a poorer family and
not really
stuff
having a
like
family,
that
yeah.
And that, but it's definitely no mention of like
sister,
an estranged sister or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's being questioned about this, and she tells her sister exactly what happened to her, which she prefaces she's not going to believe her. But just in case if you do go to it and not watch Ready or Not, she fills you in on what happened in the first movie. So all good to go. Just go see Ready or Not 2 if you want. Meanwhile, there's another family with the father is David Cronenberg, and he is informed by Elijah Wood's character, who's credited as the lawyer. He's informed that that family has been completely destroyed. Spoilers for the first movie. They've been decimated and wiped out of existence. So now there is like the power between all the other families that have dedicated themselves to Mr. LaBelle are now have to compete to become get the hot top place in the organization. I don't know. It's the setup to this movie is very convoluted. First movie, the setup is very basic and easy to explain. We have this thing. We have a deal with this dude. If we don't do this thing, we all die. And this one is a little bit more convoluted because they have to introduce all these opposing families. So they're all competing. The thing is, they're all competing in a double or nothing situation in which they have now kidnapped Samara Weaving and her sister. And whoever kills her before dawn will become the head, have all the power in the organization, whatever. Become the top dog. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's the setup. They take them to a cool hotel resort thing, like in the Hamptons or something, massive golf course and that kind of stuff. And they clear it out, which is a crazy scene. They're like, hey, listen, all of you need to get the fuck out of this hotel. All these thousands of patrons and wedding guests and all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, they set about hunting them down, with the rule being that only one person from each family can be chasing them at a time. Although if they die, they can be replaced by the next oldest member of the family. And then the extended family members are all watching in like a, watch room, I guess, elsewhere. They got cameras and shit all over the grounds and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the setup. It's enjoyable. I think the best stuff is Samara Weaving and Catherine interacting with each other and getting over their personal issues, even if they are a little bit stereotypical and it's a bit cliche and you've seen this kind of dynamic before, I guess. The violence is up there. I mean, it's a fun thriller, a slasher, I think probably you've got Sarah Michelle Gellar and Sean Hattersley, who I was surprised to see in this, who has become a favorite character on The Pit. They play twin siblings who are allowed to go on the field at the same time because they were born at the same time. I don't know if that's
Tricky.
I don't know if that's true because technically one would have had to come out with the other one, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess there are some fun sequences. There's one grisly death that I don't think I've seen someone die like that before, or in that way. And yeah,
and you've watched a lot of horror movies.
I am got such an extensive history of horror movies.
You would know.
It felt original, but yeah, I think it's about the same level as the first one. It's just a little bit more convoluted, which is in the setup, which, kind of holds it back. But yeah, I had a good time. I'm excited to hear what you think about it when you get around to watching it. When you put all your anxieties aside and go watch a movie.
Hey, man, no, fuck you.
Okay. All right. You did go, like you said, you did go to the cinema for one thing. You went to see Dhurandhar, The Revenge. Dhurandhar.
I think is how you're supposed to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Which is crazy because I feel like it was only a few months ago you were talking about Dhurandhar, the original first movie. And now there's a sequel.
Talking about the first one. They filmed them back to back.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
still only spacing them out like 4 months apart?
Yeah. The first one literally ended with a teaser trailer for part 2 coming March. Like it even had the date and everything at the end of it. So obviously I talked about the first one. It's a Bollywood action thriller, political drama. I think that sort of ticks it off. It's one of the biggest movies, I think, like sort of in India and stuff for the last 10 years, I think, money-wise and stuff. So I really enjoyed both these movies. I mean, I talked about how I enjoyed the first one. I will say that this is more of the this one adds. So the first one ends with like sort of a cliffhanger, big moment, because it's basically following. I can't remember how much I talked about with the last one, but it follows this guy who's sort of gone undercover from India to like basically he's trying to invade the terrorists over being mostly run by Pakistan, who are doing like crimes against terrorists. Real life terrorist attacks are the basis for the plot of the film, and they base them around those. And there are some real people in this, real people from real life in this. However, the main character and a lot of other people are made up. So it's like they're fitting people around real life history, but it's based on all these terror attacks that happened in India and stuff, and plays around with those, but sort of puts this one badass dude at the center of it all, who's sort of the crux of how everything goes down. But he's basically undercover, and like he builds his way up by the end of the first movie, and then in the second one to sort of become the pseudo leader of this big criminal organization that allows him to have the pull to get close to the political figures that are then in hand with a lot of the terrorist organization and stuff. The second one starts with a big backstory, like a prologue part that shows you how he ended up where he ended up, why he ended up taking on such a undercover long-term mission. All starts from him. He's had a terrible past where his like some of his family were killed and stuff, and he sort of took revenge on someone, and then he was going to go to prison for it, but then basically India's version of Secret Service or CIA or some shit basically says like, if you do this, we'll get you out of jail, but you got to go like do this undercover mission basically. I found the one thing, like I really enjoyed both movies. I did when I got home after watching it though, because there's so much compared to like a lot of movies about, like say American or UK politics and stuff that I'm a lot more understanding and accustomed to. I did a bunch of reading about, like, I just wanted to understand point of views of different people and stuff on it. And it was quite interesting. And I don't want to pretend that I've by means have read enough to really have any say or full understanding on it. But there was definitely like a view of these movies. What do you call it? Like very, how you view some American war movies as very like patriarchal, very one-sided propaganda sort of thing. This is sort of, these movies are viewed in a lot of the same light for some people, which is quite interesting. But it's also that element of where I'm like, okay, but like they're saying the bad guys who did the bad things are the bad guys, but they're like, I think the argument is that it's just, there's no nuance to it. I guess I think it's the same implication of like if you watch an American war film or something that implies like all Muslims are bad. You know what I mean? Like the same broad stroke paintbrushes. This sort of has the same sort of, I guess it would be like this movie also sort of has a Muslims is bad element to it, but it's very much painting like it's like the Hindis are the the true heroes of any story. I don't know. Either way, I enjoyed the movie. I just felt like I wanted to do some reading afterwards because it's not definitely the history in a lot of these sorts of countries is not something I'm deeply understanding of or have a lot of. I mean, to be fair, there's not like a lot of like how many fucking movies come out about any of this sort of stuff. Nothing. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's crazy how they managed to shoot basically an 8-hour movie, and there's a ridiculous budget to these. I have no idea. It's just so many slow motion action scenes and like all
Well,
this
that
sort of
helps
stuff.
to get the 8 hours up.
Yeah, it's definitely. They just they love a badass entrance too. I just there's so many times like a dude will just slow motion scene, the character name pops up on the screen, epic music, lights a cigarette, like it's just. But I had a lot of fun. I generally enjoyed both these movies.
So I've watched the first 3 episodes of the latest season of Invincible season 4. It's still invincible, still very bloody, still very violent. Also picking up after the events of the previous season where spoiler alert, I guess, the world was invaded by alternate universe Invincibles and massive havoc was reaped across the world, I guess. And the world is kind of trying to pick up pieces post that. Mark is like kind of dealing with guilt about not killing the person who was behind bringing all these Invincibles to Earth, and him feeling like, if push comes to shove, he comes to that moment again, he'll pull the trigger, I guess is the easiest way to describe it, which is something that happens in the first episode. So yeah, I feel like that's going to be like a season-long thing that he'll be dealing with his own personal trauma. He's not the fun-loving Mark who likes being the superhero that he was at the start of the series, although being beaten to shit by your dad will probably do a number on
I'll
you.
do that.
So.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you got Adam Eve, who's dealing with her powers aren't working the same anymore. Also, the second episode is like completely in space where Omni-Man and Seth Rogen's character, the alien dude, they're going about trying to find stuff to help kill the
That motherfucker's
Viltrumites.
still alive.
Yeah, Alan, that's it. Alan the alien.
I thought he'd be dead by now.
No, he's still alive. He seemed like he died, but it only made him stronger. Yeah, they're going around getting secret weapons or like enemies that they think could help defeat the Viltrumites before they, start a war and kind of go into. They reveal a pretty big secret about the Viltrumites in this episode. Yeah, that's a fun episode because it's got they go on this weird like Star Trek S ship with like a Star Trek X crew, and kind of making fun of it a little bit. And yeah, I mean, is more Invincible, more of the story. If you're already 3 seasons in, you're probably going to keep watching the 4th season. So again, good start to the season. Solid stuff. All right, Dylan, you've got a couple of documentaries you can talk about. Talk to me about Twisted Yoga.
Twisted Yoga is a new one on Apple TV, not Plus. I nearly said Plus. We just call it Apple TV now. I mean, look, this is okay. I don't think it's anything special. It's like a perfect. I've seen this story sort of before a couple times in different documentaries. Not this exact guy, but just there's something about yoga cults that is a thing apparently. People are very attracted to yoga cults, and every time you start watching one of these documentaries, you start and they're like, man, some crazy stuff was happening. Yep, he fucked them all. Like it's just. He was like, we're laughing, but like he fucks them all. He fucks them no matter what their age is. It's always the same shit with these dirty motherfuckers. But the only thing that's crazy about this one is the fact that it's like revealed, I think, in the second episode that he was like well known to police in, I can't remember what country he comes from now. Something weird, like not weird, but just like it was like Turkey or something. It was something like
foreign.
Yeah, but not none of like major.
Not the mainstream.
Places. Yeah, not the mainstream.
One of those indie countries.
Yeah, it's an indie country. Yeah, I mean, he's a dirty motherfucker. Sets up this cult. I mean, the other thing is, like, whenever I watch these, I sort of feel bad for the people who. I see people in the comments. I was looking online the other day, seeing as people just all making fun of, especially the girl. The main girl's Australian in this. So there's some stuff shot. A lot of stuff is shot in Australia because it's going around like her hometown or whatever. I think she was in Melbourne or some shit. A lot of people making fun of it. It's like, oh, the idiot, fall for this. Like, why would you do it and all this stuff? Because these people just all start you always see people online that just can't comprehend the idea of a cult, and the whole idea that a cult works is because of the way they slowly just manipulate and draw you into their stuff. So, but yeah, it just sort of annoys me when people start going, "You idiot! How could you fall for that?" I'm like, well, the whole point is that hundreds of people fall for it, and this is how these cults happen and stuff. But then you sort of feel bad because whenever there's interviews of anyone in this. Talking about why they got into it. It's like you can tell they were old people who were just looking for a like a sense of community, I guess, and it feels that for a period of time, and they 3-4 months in, they feel so relaxed within their community that then when they're magically called up to come meet the grand guru guy, they don't at that stage they sort of suck it into the world and stuff. But it's fine. It's okay. It's only 3 episodes. I think it was only 3 episodes, maybe 4. But I think there's, I want to say better fucked up documentaries, even though that's sort of what I'm saying. But
More engaging.
yeah, I don't think it was just a lot of, just very basic documentary filmmaking is what I'd say. Yeah.
All right. We've got another documentary to talk about. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. And talk to me about Dynasty, the Murdochs.
This one was good. I mean, if you have any interest in the Murdochs, and by that I mean not in a positive light, but in a, hey, what a fucked up legacy that man's leaving. Old Rupee Murdoch, eh? I mean, also, if you like watching Succession, he is the real life true story of Succession. Now, the craziest thing I'll say about that is the first episode starts with just them being like, hey, so one day the Murdoch family are sitting on the boat watching the episode of Succession where Brian Cox's character dies in Succession, and then reacts and then sees all the family freaking the fuck out, going, man, who's going to take over the company? And then all the kids of Murdoch are like, hey, texting each other or whatever, being like, hey, have you seen Succession? That could be us. So the most full circle moment where Succession is most obviously a show based on the Murdoch family, the Murdochs are watching it and then go, man, that's crazy. That could be us. No, it is you. Like, fucking wild. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was really good. It gives a lot of more insight than, I mean, I've really seen anything else. I mean, I can't say I've done a lot of, I mean, I'm not sitting at home going, man, tell me about Rupert Murdoch's childhood. Make me feel sorry for him. I don't really give a fuck. But it helps put into perspective just what sort of person he is, how he ends up, the greedy, insufferable, money grubbing political chess player that he is, and how that leans into his children and stuff. Yeah, all the people doing the interviews and talking about them are quite good, quite knowledgeable. There's a lot of people in here from American newspapers who wrote about their family for many, many years. Several of them who broke or got basically all the leaked emails from a couple of years ago. They talk about that. Of course, they don't disclose how or who gave them all that information, but Paul Barry is also quite heavily featured in this, used to be the host of Media Watch for like the last 10 years until he stepped down last year. He's sort of I think him and, can't remember the other guy's name, but there's him and the other guy are sort of the Australian representatives, I guess, for that side of the Murdoch empire. I would recommend it. It is interesting, if at all. Really, again, it just, by the time you get to the Trump stuff and the current Fox News and all that sort of stuff, it's just a reminder of, media does, whether people want to believe it or not, media just is the silent hand moving and guiding in the background at all times.
Yeah, I watched the first episode and I thought it was quite interesting. Like, obviously setting up the timeline of his rise, I guess, in that first episode. So keen to check out the rest of the series. Yeah, it's weird that this Australian dude became like one of the biggest, most important figures in the world, and then, seems to have no interest in stopping. Most people are like looking forward to retirement. This guy doesn't seem like he wants to.
No. Well, they go over it like later in the series. It's very evidently a fear that him stepping down and releasing the hand on the wheel so much that what he's built could get pushed into another direction. He starts fearing that some of his children will want to change like Fox News and stuff and all these other newspapers and push them more into a left-leaning aspect and stuff. He basically only trusts one of his kids to keep up his political
Views.
views and stuff and keep the legacy as the way he wants it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I also watched the documentary. What is it called again? The Rise of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Our Brothers Hillel. So yeah, there's a documentary about the rise of the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the formation of it. From the, I don't know, early band originally started in 1982, but it's set before that, when Anthony Kiedis is a vocalist, Flea, who's the bassist, and Hillel Slovak were teenagers. They grew up together, became good friends, and they kind of all got into music. Slovak was like the original, like in a band. He was a guitarist, and then he asked Flea to join that band. The band What Is This, which does not have a question mark. It's just a statement. What is this? So he didn't know how to play bass, so he learned how to play bass so he could be part of the band. And Anthony Kiedis was just like a outsider, wasn't a musician anyway. And they happened to one night all play together as this separate entity, like a one night special where Anthony Kiedis performed a rock rap. And that was very popular. So then Red Hot Chili Peppers became kind of a thing. Yeah, it's kind of is solely focused on that kind of early years of Red Hot Chili Peppers, from them shopping the band around. And yeah, so at one point, This Is It gets a record label almost the exact same time that the Red Hot Chili Peppers do. So Hillel decides to stick with What Is This? What a dumb name. While the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which also is a fantastic name either, but they go off and do their own, Anthony Kiedis and Flea go off and find some other people to continue what they're doing with the vibe of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and find more success than What Is This? And eventually Hillel decides he's going to quit that band and rejoin the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think right before the Red Hot Chili Peppers performed their second album. And then it kind of goes into their history and, of course, excessive drug use and the eventual overdose of Hillel and how that affected Anthony Kiedis and Flea, and kind of set the band up for its next era, I guess. Interesting story. I didn't really know anything about that. In my mind, the Red Hot Chili Peppers' first album was Blood, Sex, and Magic. That album, that's the first I ever heard of them, despite them probably being around a decade before that. Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic was probably the first. Actually, that came out in 93, so I wouldn't have even known that. I think it was probably Californication or Stadium Arcadia is the first album I remember them from, even though probably songs from earlier you become aware of. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see the history, and obviously it's heavily focused on remembering their fallen brother, and in the interview, it's very closed number of people in the interviewed for the documentary. There's probably the members of the band plus maybe 5 to 6 other people who get interviewed, even just a small little bit. So I thought that was it's very close to only really the important people. It's not like a lot of these documentaries, but they get a lot of music critics or outsiders talking about it. It's people who were there involved with the band. So
I've read the big Red Hot Chili Peppers book.
I think Anthony Kiedis
it's called
had a
Scar
book, yeah.
Tissue. I think it's called Scar Tissue. I
Yeah.
read that in high school.
Yeah. Also directed by Ben Feldman, who we know from Superstore and Area
Must be a fan.
Popular 101. Yeah, I guess so. But yeah. Also, it's got recorded audio messages from Hillel and all that kind of stuff played throughout. So yeah. Interesting film. All right, that's everything in our watch history. Let's move on to a little bit of film news. Bit of a quiet week, but there was one story that did catch my eye that I thought would be worth discussing. Reading this story from IndieWire, we're going to have to find a new language for this one. First Line Films announced today that its upcoming historical drama, As Deep as the Grave, will, per an official press release, feature Val Kilmer posthumously, a first ever performance enabled by generative AI. You can get a look at the Gen AI Kilmer in the article. The release also tells us that Kilmer was originally cast in the role of Father Finton, a Catholic priest and Native American spiritualist who was a historical figure at the San Juan Mission in Farmington, New Mexico, and the actor who passed away in April 2025 was unable to film due to his deteriorating health condition. But while Kilmer was unable to film any of his projects, he will still star, perform, appear, what's the word in the feature? Thanks to generative artificial intelligence. The film has been in post-production for the past 3 years. Per the release, state-of-the-art generative AI technologies has enabled filmmakers to honor Kilmer's wish to perform this historical character, executed in collaboration with his estate and surviving daughter, Mercedes. The film is billed as an action-adventure, true portrayal of Southwestern archaeologist Anne and Errol Morris. The film tells the story of the excavations in Canyon de Chelly, Arizona, and the story of the Navajo people. The film was directed, written, and produced by Courtier Voorhees, and also stars Abigail Laurie, Tom Felton, Abigail Breslin. According to the director, when Val came on board the project 5 years ago, he immediately identified with the historical Southwestern spiritual character Father Finton and understood the importance of elevating awareness of Anne Morris's incredible story as the first female archaeologist in North America. It was very unfortunate that his health at the time prevented him from playing this role, which spoke to him spiritually and culturally. We are honored to collaborate with his daughter Mercedes, who brings her own filmmaking experience to bring this character to life in the way that we all originally imagined. Mercedes Kilmer collaborated with the production and added in her own statement, "My father was a deeply spiritual man, and the story of discovery and enlightenment in the American Southwest, his unique role in it really resonated with him. He always looked at emerging technologies with optimism as a tool to expand the possibilities of storytelling. His spirit is something that we are all honoring with this specific film, of which he was an integral part." Before his death, Kilmer worked with filmmaker Leo Scott to craft the documentary Val, which pulled from Kilmer's own deep archives to chronicle his life. As Kilmer had lost the ability to speak after undergoing treatment for throat cancer in 2014, he recreated his old speaking voice by feeding hours of recorded audio of himself into an artificial intelligence algorithm. Dylan, how do you feel about them having a depiction of Val Kilmer post-death, even if I guess it was his wish to do so?
Yeah, I mean, this is the complicated one. I mean, the sort of isn't complicated. My thoughts are the same as they ever have been, which is just I find it very weird, and it just opens a can of worms that once is open, which it's already sort of opened, we're inexplicably unable to escape the worm that has escaped the can. Because although this is a scenario where he said yes, then we have other scenarios like James L. Jones telling Disney he can use his voice and whatever else. These more things that keep happening. I just think it's also like, well, you've got all the ones where saying yes, but I guarantee there's going to be ones where people say no, and there's some legality where the company won't give a shit what the family says and be like, he signed it, blah, 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 and they're going to do it anyway. I mean, we've already sort of seen stuff where people never signed for their to be brought back, like meant to blank on the actor's name, but Grand Moff Tarkin, of course. I mean, he never signed that. He would
Peter
never.
Chavez?
Yeah, Peter something, Peter fuck. But he never signed that, obviously. And I was trying to think. I think there's another example similar to that, but
Peter Cushing. Sorry,
Peter Cushing. There we go. Yeah. So I guess that's the thing. It's like he may have wanted it, and his family may be okay with it. So I can't get too angry at it because at the end of the day, they're not going against the wishes, but it is still just. It's not a technology or way of filmmaking that I will support or could ever really get behind. I mean, at the end of the day, it may be his face and voice on the screen, but it's a computer
him.
doing the performance. There's all the nuance and slight decisions and little details that actors bring to performances. It's a computer, and that's just not something that sits comfortably with me.
Yeah, this is a weird example, I feel like, because obviously the family and everyone, obviously he was partially involved, although I don't know how he ever intended to play the role because in the condition he was unfortunately in at the later stage of his life. I mean, we saw him in Top Gun Maverick where, and they said he lost his voice. I mean, how is he expecting to perform the role, I guess, outside of using Gen AI in the same way he did in the documentary? But yeah, I think it seems to me money would have been better spent getting another actor to play that role, and that this movie wouldn't be 3 years in post-production.
Because that's the other thing.
And it doesn't seem like reading that he's clearly one of the supporting characters. So
Mm.
it's not like he was in the lead role, and yet he's taken 3 years for post-production to be done on his performance.
Because they pitch it as, oh, the movie meant so much to him and he wanted the movie to happen and stuff. It's like, if the movie means so much to you as a actor, then surely you know the importance of bringing that role to someone else who can do it justice. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not right. Timing doesn't work out. You just
Yeah, and the timing was definitely not right for him.
yeah. And again, I feel like we've talked about this several times, but like, how are you supposed to act? How are you supposed to act against a actor who's not there? And what are they placing there? Is it someone there reading the lines? Does the generative AI take into fact that person reading those lines and like use their choices, but just put Val Kilmer's face on it?
Well, we
Like,
all
how
watch
is
Wonder Man.
But like, how is the AI being used in the scene?
No,
We don't know. So
no.
yeah, and it's good for them, I guess, that they want to do this, but I don't feel it just feels it might be good for them, and they'll feel great seeing that this is his final performance in quotation marks.
But it's not. It's the thing.
Yeah, but I feel like also we're at the stage where anything with AI is kind of being resisted strongly by the audience. So I don't know if people are going to get behind this, even if it is like from a good place or ethically okay. I think people will be like, no, we're pretty keen not for this to happen. Because obviously there's backlash for them like showing Leia and stuff after post Carrie Fisher's death, and
That was
like
another one. Yeah.
the
obviously.
Peter Cushing thing as well. So yeah, I can't see this one going well. But yeah, quite weak. But every week there are so many different casting news, stories about new films. We like to cover these in a segment called Would You Want to Invest? I give Dylan information about a different project. He tells me if he would partially invest, fully invest, or not invest, and his history will be the judge if he's right or wrong. Are you ready for this latest
Yes.
installment? Great. Kicking things off, we've got reading from Deadline. Hang on. There we go. The upcoming future adaptation of Audrey Niffinger's best-selling novel, Three Incestuous Sisters, is adding some serious star power. Deadline is hearing that Dakota Johnson's Saoirse Ronan, Jessie Buckley, and Josh O'Connor are set to star. Italian director Alice Brookwasher is set to helm a script she wrote with Otessa Mosfeg that we hear is loosely based on the book. Because of that, plot details are being kept under wraps. But from what I've read on Google, the original novel is an illustrated novel in pictures following Clothdite, Ophile, and Bethine, three sisters living in an isolated, dysfunctionally closeness by the sea. When a lightkeeper's son, Paris, loves the youngest Bettine, intense jealousy and sabotage by the others lead to rage, death, and a gothic tale of revenge and transcendence.
Cool. Full invest.
Had me at the title.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd be in for the pitch, but the cast is good too. I like all the
Pretty solid cast. TriStar Pictures has preemptively acquired The Last Orbit, a forthcoming novel from New York Times bestselling Ben Mesrick, inking a deal for Matt Shankman to direct from a story adapted by Josh Friedman. Slated for publication in Q1 2027. The Last Orbit is a speculative fiction about the asteroid YR4, which has a statistically significant chance of hitting Earth or the Moon in 2032. The book is science real and imagines what a realistic international response would be, as everyone has to come together in order to save the planet.
Cool. They wouldn't come together.
It's realistic Armageddon, Dylan.
Yeah. Full invest. I love watching movies about the future.
Tessa Thompson has attached to produce and star in A Separation, a feature adaptation of Katie Kitamura's bestseller to be written and directed by Cannes Award winner Jonas Carpignano. Published by Riverhead Books in 2017, A Separation is the story of a woman who reluctantly travels from London to an isolated peninsula in southern Greece to find her estranged husband who has gone missing. Full of suspense and quiet turmoil, the book is about the mysteries of intimacy and slippery grief that comes in the wake of a marriage that ends.
Sort of whatever, isn't that? That's a bit of a whatever. No invest. I got to save some money.
Universal Television has optioned Lights Out, the best-selling sports thriller by former national TV reporter turned author Elsie Hart Kipnis for development as a series. The executive producers on the project include Mary J. Blige, Bruce Miller, and Milana Edwards Brooks of Blue Butterfly Productions, as well as Martin Chase of Martin Chase Productions, and Liz Friedler, who will also direct. The first book in the Kipnis Kate Green series, Lights Out, follows a former Olympic athlete and sports reporter who isn't sure how much more tumultuous her life can get. She's been put on temporary leave from her job. Then NBA superstar Kurt Robinson's killed, and the prime suspect in his murder is none other than his wife, Kate's best friend. Kate knows that Yvette's marriage wasn't exactly stable, but her best friend is no murderer, and Kate is determined to prove it with her own investigation. While she tries to salvage Yvette's life, Kate's own continues to unravel. Her career is in limbo. Gossip magazines speculate about her future. Her children are battling their own demons, and her estranged father suddenly re-enters her life as a detective assigned to Kurt's homicide case. A lot there.
That was a lot. So I couldn't even tell if he was done.
It was done.
I will partially invest. I'm intrigued, and yet also, by the time you reach the end of the pitch, I forgot the start of it. So we'll go partially invest.
There's a lot of plot there that requires a whole TV season to cover up. All right. As production is underway on the Jason Momoa and Andy Samberg-led Netflix film Protecting Jared, Amy Carrero and Jai Courtney have joined the cast.
Jai Courtney.
Additionally, Ruben Fleischer has been added as the film's director. Details about the two-handed action comedy are being kept under wraps, but it will be an action comedy set in Hawaii.
Brilliant. Partial invest.
I just love this because they say...
Jason Momoa.
No, well, Jason Momoa, Andy Samberg, that seems like a dream team. But they're like, yeah, we just added a director. It could have been anybody, but it's Ruben Fleischer who's...
We needed someone to do the motions, you know?
Yeah, we need somebody to do it.
Cut. Oh, he doesn't even do that. What am I joking about? That's not But, I mean, yeah, Andy Samberg movie, sure. Andy Samberg doesn't do a lot of movies, so let's presume it's good.
All right. A24's new comedy Pete from Molly Gordon, Ali Leviathan has cast 5 more in supporting roles: Amy Sedaris, Owen Thiel, Jaya Harper, Emil Watkin, and model Alex Gonzani. Character details are being kept under wraps. The film follows the 2 girls who traumatized you in high school as they try to live their glory days at their 10-year reunion. As previously announced, Gordon is directing from the script by Leviathan.
Comedy.
Also, cast includes Laura Dern, Simone Ashley, Lavon Hawke, Mitra Juhari, Gabby Winday, and Connor Story.
Well, why didn't you say that? Laura Dern?
Laura Dern?
Laura Dern? Full invest.
Figured the A24 will get you.
No, not quite. Not quite. I was only going partial until you said the cast.
Okay. During a Netflix press event Wednesday, the streamers Dan Lin and Ginny Howe announced The Cackling of the Dodos, a new feature film that will be directed by Jason Bateman and stars Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson. The pick puts Netflix back in the business with Jake Bateman, the EP star of Ozark and Black Rabbit. The Cackling of the Dodos follows George, small-town farmer, who has a truly terrible day when he discovers a corpse chilling out in the grain bin and is unwittingly forced into a chaotic, sloppy cover-up by his boss, Denny. So still fully invested. Yes. Surely Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell will be in the same movie, bro. I feel like that's a pairing I've seen before.
Can't think of it, but I believe I've seen it.
No, I'm not going to make the gift to look it up. All right. Ella Purnell is boarding the Nicholas Galadson starring thriller The Return of Stanley Atwell from BAFTA and Golden Globe winning Oscar-nominated Hamnet producer Hera Peaches. The pick is being co-produced by John Gore Studios, written and directed by Brian Welsh. The Return of Stanley Atwell is based on an original story by Oscar-winning filmmaker Steven Soderbergh, who also serves as EP. Stanley Atwell, the presumed dead son and heir to Lord Atwell's title and fortune, unexpectedly returns to the family estate, having escaped a decade of mysterious captivity. Atwell's shocking reappearance causes chaos as he finds his sister Beatrice fighting to claim his inheritance. Whilst close friend Pamela manipulates his puzzling return and a dark family secret in a bid to seize control of the Atwell's fortune, sex, passion, backstabbing, and betrayal wreak havoc across the estate as the lies and deception of the Atwell name have been built upon start to unravel. How far is each family member willing to go to protect their own wealth and status? And what is really behind the return of Stanley Atwell?
Why does this just sound like a different version of the movie that's in the cinemas at the moment? The Glenn Powell one.
Yeah, I guess. Another Succession story. Succession's such a
No,
big hit. It's all about
just-
inheritances.
wow. No invest from me. It sounded like it's too some of the other things. Also, the movie, shockingly, we could not remember, even though it's a huge one. 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Woody Harrelson was in that?
Woody Harrelson plays the chief,
Okay.
and Rockwell plays the officer. So they have a fair few scenes together.
Would it shock you to
They
know?
were-
Haven't seen the
they were
movie,
also
so I've
together-
got an excuse.
My God. They were also together in the movie 7 Psychopaths.
Yes, I've seen that one. That also makes sense, especially when we should have known, especially with the trailer that's coming up.
Yes.
Hmm.
That's what I was like.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is set to headline in Enigma Variations, a limited series greenlighted by Netflix based on Call Me By Your Name author Andre Ackerman's best-selling novel. Previously, Jeremy Allen White was originally attached to star, written by Amanda Kate Schauman, and to be directed by Oliver Hermanus. Enigma Variations stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Paul, a man remade by the lovers who ignite and undo him across 10 transformative years. Is an intimate yet sweeping portrait of masculinity, sexuality, and modern love. And in a world of endless choices, it asks the question, will we know when we found the one?
Man, that's some deep shit. Partial invest.
Interesting. All right. Kristen Ritter has teamed with writer, producer Stephen Yockey and Berlanti Productions for Retreat, a series adaptation of her novel of the same name, where is executive producing with the intention to star in the project, which just hit the marketplace. Retreat is an ongoing hour-long, darkly comedic thriller featuring Liz Dawson, a chameleon-like grifter who is always in control until she's cornered into assuming the identity of a wealthy dead woman in Punta Mita, Mexico. Suddenly, Liz finds herself in the middle of a sun-bleached Cockean mystery, desperate to keep up her act, and people start dying.
Partial invest. I mean, intriguing, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Didn't know that she wrote a book, but okay.
Yeah. Final one for this week, and it's a doozy. Michaela Cole is reteaming with A24 for a third time and will write and direct a reimagining of Bloodsport. The original Bloodsport, released in 1988, launched Belgian martial arts star Jean-Claude Van Damme into a global name. In that movie, he played American Army officer Frank Dux, whose training in the art of Jiu-Jitsu helps him battle Chong Li in the underground Hong Kong tournament known as the Kumite. Beamed Cole, I have long been in awe of fighters and astounded by the discipline, intensity, and isolation of the sport demands of them. I'm excited to explore this world, especially so with A24 as my collaborators. Let's fucking go.
Sure. Full invest.
Yep, okay. That is just a wild pairing that you would not expect.
No, I wouldn't, but sure.
So, yeah. Look forward to that one day, and I guess our Bloodsport rewatch.
Yeah, there's like fucking, I don't
There's
know.
4 of them listed here.
Yeah, several of them, yeah.
All right, that's all of them. I guess we'll have to wait and see how history judges your choices today.
History judges my choices quite a lot, and
history does judge all of us, so it's not you don't have to feel that special. Let's talk about some films that are a little bit closer in thumbs for trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're going to talk about in the show notes below. Kicking things off, big one for the week: Spider-Man: Brand New Day, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jacob Batalon, John Barenthal, Tramell Tillman, Michael Mando, and Mark Ruffalo. Following Dr. Stephen Strange's spell at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, the world has forgotten that Peter Parker exists. 4 years later, Parker anonymously protects New York City as the hero Spider-Man. The pressure from crime fighting ignites a threatening physical evolution in Parker, forcing him to deal with that while also investigating a series of crimes that lead to a powerful threat. Dylan, what did you think of this trailer for Spider-Man: Brand New Day?
Yeah, double thumbs up. It looks really good. Like the way it's shot. Doesn't look like Marvel color coded. Generally seems to be going for some form of actual dramatic storytelling with him dealing with the MJ stuff. But we'll see how quick they pull that rug out, I guess. The Punisher? Frank Castle? Cool. Double thumbs up. I like the part where he went to say motherfucker and he got a web in the mouth. That was good. Good bit.
2 thumbs up from me. I think it was a really good trailer and kind of have a good first taste for what this movie's going to be, because there were a lot of questions about it. We still are left with a lot of questions. Like, who the fuck is Sadie Sink? This movie. Who is the bad guy that he's taking on? Who is Keith David, who is clearly doing the monologue at the end of the trailer and is not credited anywhere yet? Are we going to see the Man Spider like storyline tackled? Like, I'm sure you're familiar with that storyline, or at least some of the image where he grows 4 arms and like, yeah, because it seems like he's shirtless in that way. It seems like he's evolving. He might go in that way. And, you know, the internet's been speculated that certain people have been photoshopped out of some of the shots and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the last shot where he's like jumping and stuff.
Where he's fighting against what looks to be the Hand, who we thought was eliminated in the Dead Defenders. That's the last time we saw them.
I think the other thing that's interesting is just the fact that they're like, after doing several movies, they're like, no, fuck it. He's going to do Web the Tobey Maguire way now.
I don't know. I feel like I might be alone. Everybody thinks he's the one who shoots the web. I think somebody else shoots the web and catches it. But, you know.
What do you want, Miles Morales, or do you want someone else?
I don't know. There was talk of Silk or something showing up in the movie. Who knows? Like, there's a lot of options. But yeah, looks cool. It's really cool to see Frank Castle and Spider-Man interacting. That's like a crazy combination. And then just seeing the personal, like, personal stuff of Peter Parker having to deal with the ramifications of his sacrifice, I think is interesting. It's also interesting that it's been 4 years and yet he is still pining over Zendaya after 4 years. She's gone and gotten a degree and she's come back to New York City and he's still, you know, sad boying it up. You know, he spent the last years stalking her on a face.
The man's in love, you know?
Yeah, that's true. All right. Also, when the other guy like puts her hair behind her ear, rough, tough to watch. Spider-Man, Brand New Day. It's coming to cinemas 30th of July. Next trailer is for Outcome, directed by Jonah Hill, starring Keanu Reeves, Jonah Hill, Matt Bomer, and Cameron Diaz. Reef Hawke is an actor who has been sober for 5 years. He's taken a break from acting to build his new home, and he takes pride in his progress in life. However, when he receives a call from his crisis lawyer, Iris Slitz, who reveals that someone is blackmailing him with a video of questionable content, his life is turned upside down. Reef then sets out to make amends with those whom he has wronged in the past in order to figure out who his blackmailer is. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Outcome?
What's the movie called again?
Outcome.
Oh, watch this.
You watched the...
Oh, I did. Yeah, fuck.
The Keanu Reeves one?
Sorry, Keanu Reeves. Fuck. I zoned out for a second. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right, the Keanu Reeves one. I'm going to go one up, one down. I'll tell you what, I'll say what it is. I don't dislike the premise. I think it's all sort of fine. There is just an element of something in this that I'm not loving. Like, and I think there was a shot early in the trailer where there's him and Jonah Hill sitting on a bullshit green screen beach or some shit like that. And I just began to be like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? This just looks so off. And then tonally, my
shooting
brain
at the
just
beach
decided,
is very expensive, Dylan. You got to clear it. You got to pay for permits. Got to be lucky and get a good day. You know, it's hard.
I don't want excuses. I want answers. Okay, so
I gave the answer. It's expensive.
Also, Jonah Hill's starting to look like Joe Pandalineo, whatever his name is.
Joe Pantiello.
Yep, that one.
Joey Pants. Yeah, I guess one up, one down. Like, I feel like we've seen a lot of this, like the actor who did bad things in the past and now needs to go back and redeem himself. And we're gonna see behind the apology machine, I guess, is how this movie is set up, like the media blitz and the crisis teams and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that potentially could be quite interesting, but
it's weird casting too, because they're like, you're gonna
let's take the
Keanu
nicest
Reeves.
guy.
Yeah.
Let's take the most beloved actor currently available and make him pretend that he said something bad, which they never reveal in the trailer. Maybe they just don't know, but yeah. I'm intrigued to watch it at the very least. So, Outcome is coming to Apple TV on the 10th of April. Next trailer is for Balls Up, directed by Peter Farrelly, starring Mark Wahlberg, Paul Walter Hauser, Molly Shannon, Benjamin Bratt, Daniela Melchior, Eric Andre, and Sacha Baron Cohen. After causing an international incident at the World Cup final, rival co-workers must find a way out of Brazil alive. Dylan,
That's the okay, right.
that's the synopsis they put out there. Dylan, what do you think of Balls Up?
I'm double thumbs down, I think. I was trying to think of if I want to give it one up, one down. I was trying to find a good reason. I couldn't. So I'm going to go double thumbs down. It looks like junk food. And we all need to have a little bit less.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 thumbs down for me as well. They spend a lot of time like setting up the premise of this movie in this trailer. When it's I feel like there's a much quicker way to get to. It's 2 guys who are on the run in Brazil because they fucked something up. Also, there was no World Cup in 2025. That threw me out of the movie straight away. It definitely wasn't being hosted in Brazil, you know? So that annoyed me. I will admit they did a good job, like completely left turn, because, you know, I thought this was going to be a crazy movie about these guys trying to launch this weird condom, you know? But no, it becomes them interrupting a football match and losing a match for Brazil, and Brazil wants to kill them, I guess. And hijinks ensues.
There was a shot of Eric Andre being in this movie, and that was the only moment I liked because I enjoy Eric Andre. The rest of the trailer I didn't care for.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They did show obviously Sacha Baron Cohen plays a drug dealer who really likes their condoms because you can fit more cocaine in them,
which is dumb. Context, because you got to.
Why would you swallow it?
It's too big to fucking swallow. The whole point is they put the drugs in the condom, they tie them up into these little baggies, and they swallow them like that because they can swallow it and shit it out. And then the whole joke is they're trying to fit condom in so much cocaine into this massive dick-shaped condom. I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not the whole. You can't shit that out. It's going to burst inside you.
Yeah, it's going to be
bad. Get your drug.
It's obviously just a psych gag. I think it's not practical.
I've had
theoretical.
Enough. I've had enough.
Balls Up is coming to Prime Video on the 15th of April.
It is a balls up.
Next trailer. Wild Horse 9, directed by Martin McDonagh, starring John Malkovich, Sam Rockwell, Steve Buscemi, Mariana Di Girolamo, Elian Salas, Tom Waits, and Parker Posey. Shortly before the 1973 Chilean coup, CIA agents Chris and Lee are dispatched from Santiago to East Island by their bureau chief MJ. Among the island's iconic statues and as the longtime rivals wrestle with their dark past and present conspiracies, Chris' newfound bond with a pair of rebellious students threatens to send everyone's ship to this remote island paradise sideways. Dylan, what do you think of this first trailer for Martin McDonagh's next film?
Liked it so much, I watched it twice. You know it's a good trailer when I've already watched it twice before you post it in the show notes. I just can't wait to watch this one. All the dialogue we did back and forth, just typical stuff we expect from this writer director, obviously. So I'm excited. Let's go. Also, then when you add in Parker Posey after she's on a run post White Lotus, held to the air.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. I'm looking forward to In Bruges 2 as well. Yeah, this one's set at Crispin Island or East Island. Yeah. Sam Rockwell, John Malkovich seems like a solid pairing. Again, Sam Rockwell having worked with Martin McDonagh several times at this point.
Did you know he starred in a movie with Woody Harrelson that was directed by Martin McDonagh?
Yeah, which one?
I think it was called 7 Psychopaths, I think.
Okay. Were there any other films that were in together? Starring, directed by the same director?
Yeah. 3 something. I think it was nominated, or at least nominated for something.
Okay.
3 billboards.
3 something with like a long name.
Yeah. Different than the rest of his movies, actually. It was a little bit different.
All right. Wild Horse 9, interesting name, is coming to cinemas on the 5th of November. Final trailer for this week. Dune Part 3, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Florence Pugh, Rebecca Ferguson, Isaac DeBancalo, Charlotte Rampling, Anya Taylor-Joy, Robert Pattinson, and Javier Bardem. It follows Mahad Deeb, heir to unimaginable power, as he brings to fruition the ancient scheme to create a super being ruler among men, not in the heavens. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Dude Part 3?
Double thumbs up, of course, inject it into my veins. I can't wait. This is cinema, baby.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up. Timmy's getting that nomination. Timmy Redemption starts here. Yeah, only a teaser, only getting like a brief taste of what to expect. But I think, everything looks incredible. All the shots look really good. It looks like it's ready to go pretty much. And,
Can you believe this trilogy of movies have been made in 5 years?
Released in 5 years. Yeah, sure. I don't know how long the first one was in the can, I guess, but
let's give it an extra year. I still think if you say let's say 6
Yeah,
years, it's still crazy.
it's still crazy when they didn't greenlight the first one like straight away. So yeah, Cars looks amazing. Like with crazy like collection of young actors. Like Robert Pattinson looks wild in this. Only get a glimpse of Anya Taylor-Joy, which implies that it's set like several years post.
I don't know. It jumps ahead in
Second one.
time or something. I don't really know.
Or she jumps back in time. Who knows in this franchise? We see what's his face, Jess Moore, who apparently is not technically playing the same character. From what I've read online.
I did look up after the second one how the fuck, because I kept seeing people posting about Jason Momoa coming back, and I was like, I couldn't help myself but be like, how? And Googled that a bit. There's some clone and shit happening.
Of course, it wouldn't be some sci-fi without some clone and shit. Yeah. One of our highly anticipated films of the year, and this has not diminished our hype in any sort of way. Dune Part 3, coming to cinemas on the 17th of December.
Which are you going to watch first if you have to make the choice? Dune or Avengers?
I feel like Avengers, just because the spoiler element of...
But there could be a spoiler element to this.
Probably will be as well, but I feel like there'll be less terrible people who will spoil it.
I guess so. Because you could be like, this
there'll be people inside Avengers Doomsday, like taking photos of all the cameos and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably Doomsday first.
I'm going to watch them at the same time. I'm going to go watch one in the cinema, and then I'm going to watch
it's going to be back to back.
I'm going to watch a cam rip on my phone at the same time.
You're going to get implanted in my eye that I can watch one movie here and watch the other one at the same time, and then have
I'm going to send someone into the other cinema with
a live feed,
meta glasses, and then I'm going to have my own meta glasses or Apple Vision Pro, and I'm going to have it on transparency mode, so I'm watching duplicate movies at the same time, live stream from the person with the Ray-Bans on. Future's here, baby! And I'm going to have TikTok on the side because I can't fucking go swoop it. Give me some wheels!
On that note, let's move on to this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And with Hoppers about to release in Australian cinemas, as well as the Explosion Network's release of its new podcast, Animated Wonders, available where all good podcasts and bad podcasts and any podcasts are available. This week's top 3. Top 3 Pixar films. Dylan, do you want to just quickly give a pitch for people for what Animated Wonders is?
Animated Wonders is the spiritual successor to our podcast, Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders, in which we talked about all of Studio Ghibli's filmography. Of course, the Japanese animated thing, studio. And then we talked about doing other stuff and talked about doing a Disney podcast for a while and all those other things. And then was like, let's just take Studio Ghibli's name off the podcast and call it Animated Wonders and wipe our hands of it, call it a day. So yeah, we'll be talking about animated films, anime, Pixar, Disney, whatever, anything animated in the wonderful world of animated cinema. Go check it out. ExposureNetwork.com. I haven't done a hyperlink yet, so I can't say ExposureNetwork.com/ But actually,
I will have the link below.
ExposureNetwork.com/animated wonders. It'll
probably be that. I can't imagine it being directed somewhere else. Do you think somewhere else on Explosion Network they've got that link used already?
I'll fix it after we finish recording. ExposureNetwork.com/animated wonders. There, done.
All right. So yes, top 3 Pixar films. Dylan, what is your number 3?
This is a dumb list because I felt bad about it felt like I was
picking between your
not
children.
picking at children a little bit. Yeah. So it was sort of hard, to be completely honest. But number
Sometimes
three,
these
Up.
top three need to be hard.
Yeah. Up. Number
Is number
three.
3.
Obviously, a very heartfelt film. You watch it as a child, you have a lot of fun. You watch it when you get a bit, when you're older, you see more and relate more to the old man. No matter what age you are, you just love Doug. So, brilliant film.
Good choice. My number 3, Finding Nemo.
My number 2 is Finding Nemo.
I mean, it is a fantastic adventure film, a quest movie set in the water, under the sea, a type of life that, you don't see.
Set in Australia.
Set in Australia. So you get all the Australian accents and sharks and good stuff. But yeah, they perfectly bring this aquatic world to life, I guess. All these kids learn about amoeba and clownfish and death, and not to pick on your goldfish in the aquarium. Yeah, a fantastic movie. Brilliantly acted, all the good stuff.
Everyone's current thoughts on Ellen DeGeneres aside, I do think just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Some of the most perfect line delivery in any animated movie ever. And also a very important life lesson to take with you.
Just keep swimming.
Yes, everything else you
Especially
said, yes.
if you're in the ocean.
Well,
or in any body of water.
I was going metaphorical with it, but that's fine. You can take it literally. Yeah.
There's lots of lessons to learn, Or crush the turtle, like hidden gems,
Dude.
All right. Finding Nemo was also your number 2. My number 2 is The Incredibles, the first film by Brad Bird. Yeah, it was the best for a very long time. It was the best superhero film out there, despite it not being like a licensed film, anything. Heavily influenced by, I guess, Fantastic Four, but like being this story of superheroes who have to go undercover because the world doesn't like them anymore. But like being drawn back to their world and all that kind of stuff. I think brilliantly put together, great performances across the board. Brad Bird is fantastic as Edna. Yeah, just a great family dynamic, and all the superhero stuff looks really cool. So Incredibles, my number 2. Dylan, what is your number 1?
It had to be a Toy Story. Was the thing. Now, I really, really, really struggled with which one. And I understand that some people may be like, who's this one? Who's this one? Obviously this one. And because of that, my answer is Toy Story 4. Now, I don't want to say that in an upcoming episodes of Animated Wonders, we may be talking about Toy Story, but we are definitely talking about Toy Story soon in Animated Wonders.
Shocker, the 5th movie is coming soon.
Shocker, the 5th movie is coming soon. I went into that rewatch, as you know, going Toy Story 2 is the one. However, by the time I was done, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Toy Story 4 is making the list because that was the one I had the most emotional resonance with now. So I kind of just want to say Toy Story as a collective for number 1. But if I have to pick a number, I'm going with 4 because that has,
Okay. I also have gone with a Toy Story as my number 1, but I've gone Toy Story 3, which
that's
was
probably the most popular answer.
Yeah, well, I feel like the first 2 maybe, just because of their place in history, but Toy Story 3 feels like the conclusion of what was meant to be the conclusion of that story, and like obviously is their final story with Andy, and like is such a moving story about growing older and having to let old relationships go, and moving on to other things, letting old friendships go, even if it's sad, or letting your kids go, I guess, from a parenting perspective, letting them grow up and that kind of stuff. So, and it's beautifully animated, got a bunch of funny jokes, and like also like as incredibly devastating ending for most people. So yes, Toy Story 3, my number 1 Pixar film. For now. Who knows? Toy Story 5 could change everything. All right. Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
I would like to catch up on the things I haven't watched in the cinema yet. But if I'm adding something else to what I'd like to release in cinemas this week, my pick's going to be They Will Kill You to see, I don't know, the movie that everyone was like, man, this sort of just looks like another Ready or Not. But I mean, it's more action-based, obviously. And then on the streaming front, we have the return of Daredevil Born Again with season 2 starting this week.
Yes, Daredevil Born Again, which we'll be talking about over on All New Marvel Cast, our Marvel dedicated podcast where we will probably be talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. And if you're doing a rewatch of all the Spider-Man movies, we already did that. You can go listen to those over on that podcast feed.
Don't do it yourself. Just listen to us do it for you.
Well, I mean, you can do the rewatch, but then listen to us and hear what we thought. You know. But yes, we'll be doing weekly recaps of each episode of Daredevil Born Again over on that podcast feed. I will say I'm also looking forward to Daredevil. I would recommend going to see Hoppers. There was Nick and Alice is coming to Disney Plus this week. The film with Vince Vaughn's, that is the name. I'm looking forward to that. I think on the TV front, Bait season 1 is out with Riz Ahmed. That looks very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm keen to check that out, so I'll say that. Let us know what you want to watch this week by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow to find us on social media and let us know. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and equally 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network with all those other podcasts that we keep adding, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Another one.